North Korea is probably the strangest country in the world. There's little time for superfluous entertainment. Almost all energy is directed towards how to best serve Kim Jong-un and the country as a whole. So, how does a worker bee achieve celebrity status, or any kind of individualized fame? There's no blueprint. The process often seems bizarrely random. Case in point, the following 10 people that made it big in North Korea. Number 10. Song-wol is one of the most prominent North Korean pop singers. She's believed to have had a friendship with Kim Jong-un in her youth that may have aided her rise to fame. Song-wol's greatest hit is entitled A Girl in the Saddle of a Steed, which has been internationally ridiculed under the erroneous title of Excellent Horse-Like Lady. It's a bouncy pop tune with genuine kitsch appeal, championing the mechanization of Korean women. Okay, it actually becomes pretty depressing the more you think about it. It tells the story of a North Korean textile worker, played by Song-wol in the music video. She dashes across the factory floor, performing various menial tasks, smiling brightly. The lyrics compare the North Korean textile industry to a horse that must be controlled and guided by Song-wol and her factory worker colleagues. In 2013, it was reported by South Korean media that she'd been executed for making pornographic films. However, she made a public appearance in 2014, proving the claims to be nonsense. Number 9. Whatever the supreme leader loves is also loved by the North Korean people. Kim Jong-un is believed to have a long-standing affection for the 1990s Chicago Bulls. Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il, was also a huge fan of the Bulls and had invited Michael Jordan to visit North Korea, to no avail. In fact, Rodman's trip came out of another unfruitful negotiation with Jordan. Rodman, substituting for Jordan, was the first American to publicly meet with Kim Jong-un. Since then, he's believed to have visited the country at least 4 times, most recently in June of 2017, wearing a t-shirt advertising Popcoin. It's a cryptocurrency used for the trade of legalized cannabis. Legalized in certain US states, that is. The legality of the drug in North Korea is far less clear. Some media outlets have reported that consumption of cannabis is turned a blind eye to. Others have expressed strong doubt that the drug is openly used, considering how oppressive the regime is and how quick they are to find reasons for punishment. Regardless, Rodman's so beloved by Kim Jong-un, and therefore all North Koreans, that he appears to have carte blanche. Number 8.
2016년 1월 6일 10시 성공적으로 진행되었다.
The Korean Central Television Company is the sole source of television news in North Korea. Naturally, the activity of the supreme leader and his government are of paramount importance to every North Korean. Chun-hee has reported on their goings-on since 1971. Although she retired from everyday duties as chief newsreader in 2012, to this day, no one is more respected in the field than her. She has been a crucial cog in the Kim Dynasty's propaganda machine. Her readings, lathered with histrionics, prompt the general public when to be elated, when to be devastated, and when to be angry. To the outside world, her voice has become synonymous with the absurdity of the country's activities. Chun-hee still makes the occasional television appearance. It's usually when there are significant national events, such as successful missile tests. It's believed Kim Jong-un himself insists on her usage, trusting no one else to deliver state-sanctioned jingoism with such manipulative brilliance. Number 7. Before James Joseph Dresnok made his fame in North Korea, he was a private in the US Army. He was sent to South Korea, where he kept watch at the Korean demilitarized zone. There, a discovery was made that he had forged signatures on paperwork that allowed him to leave the base for a night.
Made my own slip again, signed my sergeant's signature, forgery.
On August 15th, 1962, fearing a court-martial for his actions, Dresnok decided to run across a minefield into North Korea. He was eventually housed with 3 other US military defectors and made to star in various propaganda films. They also made trips back to the Korean border, where they were instructed to gush about North Korea's greatness through a loudspeaker in order to encourage other soldiers to defect. From 1978 to 1981, North Korea produced a 20-part war film called Unsung Heroes. Dresnok played Dr. Kelton, an American with ties to arms manufacturing who wanted the Korean War to continue indefinitely so he could profit. Contrary to the character, the role made Dresnok even more sympathetic with the North Korean people and properly established his celebrity status. In 2017, Dresnok's sons appeared on North Korean television to share news of their father's passing. Naturally, they rounded things off by praising Kim Jong-un and declaring that America better calm down with all the fire and fury talk, or we will not miss the opportunity and wipe the land of the US from the earth forever. Good to keep it all in perspective. Number 6. Antonio Inoki is as famous in the Far East as Hulk Hogan is in America. He's also the founder of the second largest wrestling company in the world, New Japan Pro Wrestling. During his tenure as New Japan boss man, he would often co-promote with the now defunct American outfit World Championship Wrestling. In 1995, they held 2 combined shows in North Korea. The event was known locally as the Pyongyang International Sports and Culture Festival for Peace, and globally marketed under the catchier name of Collision in Korea. Day 2 of the event was the most attended wrestling show of all time, officially reported to have drawn 190,000 people. This number is likely inflated, a tactic often used by American promoters as well. It's wrestling after all. Muhammad Ali was in attendance as a guest of honor. He watched on as Inoki, who he fought in 1976, wrestled Ric Flair in the main event. Inoki won the match, sending the North Korean crowd home happy. Number 5. In the 1960s, Song Hyrum was one of the true stars of North Korean cinema. Unfortunately, her career as well as her entire existence has been scrubbed from North Korean history. She was Kim Jong-il's mistress and the mother of Kim Jong-nam, who died at Kuala Lumpur airport after being attacked with a nerve agent. Jong-nam had been a source of embarrassment to the Kim family pretty much from birth. His grandfather Kim Il-sung was kept unaware of his existence until he was 4 years old. Both Jong-nam and Hyrum were strongly encouraged to live the rest of their lives out of the public eye. Number 4. Kim Jonghoon is a retired North Korean footballer who played as a defender for the Pyongyang-based April 25 sports club. His greatest success came after his playing career had ended as the manager of the North Korean national team. In 2009, North Korea, under Jonghoon's management, qualified for the FIFA World Cup. The last time they played in the tournament was 1966. There, they had beaten Italy and reached the quarter-finals, so Jonghoon and his men had pretty big shoes to fill. Live sports broadcasts are a big no-no in North Korea. It's hard to protect an image of North Korean superiority if citizens can see their sporting heroes get routinely destroyed. In their opening match of the 2010 World Cup, North Korea, then ranked 105th in the world, put in an impressive display against Brazil, ranked first, managing to score a goal before eventually losing 2-1.
My word! Choi Eunhee has just become a Korean hero.
It was a result that pleased North Korean officials to such an extent that they decided to broadcast the team's next game live for the first time ever. Painfully, North Korea ended up losing their next match to Portugal 7-0, confusing the TV audience who had been told how great Jonghoon and his team were. No more live broadcasts were made. It was reported that, as a result of the loss, Kim Jong-hoon was forced to perform hard labor on a construction site. This followed a long-winded tribunal where it's believed sports commentator Ri Dong-kyu systematically broke down each member of the national team's failings. Number 3. Morinbong band consists of over 20 people and its lineup is ever changing, so we concede it's a bit of a cheat entry. In Western media, with clickability on the mind, the band is often referred to as North Korea's Spice Girls, owing to the fact that the group is women only. They were formed directly as an attempt by Kim Jong-un to modernize North Korean creative output, often sporting short skirts and unconventional hairstyles. However, since their initial explosion onto the North Korean pop scene, their appearances have been greatly toned down. One of their greatest early hits is called Let's Study. It has all the funky pop charm of a Eurovision song, and includes memorable, easy-to-learn lines such as let's study, let's study, let's study for the benefit of our country. Number 2. Choi Eunhee was a very well-known and respected actress in South Korea, whom Kim Jong-il was a big fan of. He desperately wanted to establish a North Korean film industry in order to convey to the rest of the world the cultural depth of the country. Unfortunately, Eun-hee didn't seem too keen on coming willingly. In 1972, Kim Jong-il decided simply to kidnap her.
그러면서 얼떨결에 나도 그냥 누가 얼떨결에 타고서
Apart from the whole kidnap, don't run or we'll hurt you stuff, Kim Jong-il treated Eun-hee well and housed her in a luxury villa. She states that one of the first things that Kim Jong-il said to her was an icebreaker about his height, to the effect of, "Small as a midget's turd, aren't I?"
그 주변에 있던 사람 모두 웃어서 분위기를 이렇게
The films that Eun-hee helped make for Kim Jong-il are, for the most part, not good. No doubt, the countless creative restrictions played a huge part in the final product's mediocrity. Within the Heap, however, is a genuinely pioneering film. It's a love story, appropriately titled Love, Love, My Love. It boasts the first on-screen kiss in North Korean cinema history. Eun-hee managed to escape the country with her husband in 1986. Number 1. That husband we just mentioned? This guy. He was a critically acclaimed director in South Korea. Choi Eunhee had often been his leading lady. They'd been divorced for several years. Nevertheless, Sang-ok was sufficiently worried by Eun-hee's disappearance that he felt the need to directly investigate. He, too, was kidnapped while retracing her steps. Initially, Sang-ok was treated with the same level of respect shown to Eun-hee. That was stripped away after he twice attempted to escape. The result was 2 years of imprisonment. He was not freed until Kim Jong-il was convinced he'd remain loyal to North Korea. Following Sang-ok's release, a dinner party was arranged in Pyongyang. Here, the director first met with Kim Jong-il. Eun-hee was also brought there. She had no idea that Sang-ok had been kidnapped.
이럴 때 아이고 여보 어떻게 왔어 이러고 울고불고 이랬는데
At the behest of Kim Jong-il, the couple remarried and remained so following their escape. Sang-ok directed all the films that Eun-hee was involved with, including a Godzilla ripoff called Pulgasari. It's by far the most talked about film from his North Korean period. Though the two had wanted to escape for many years, they were concerned that no one would believe their story and they would be punished for defection. In order to prove their innocence, they secretly taped the meetings they had with Kim Jong-il.
숨겨가지고
In one such recording, the Supreme Leader explains how Sang-ok's 2-year prison ordeal was just a big misunderstanding. It's a preposterously inaccurate statement to make, but really not worth arguing over. Conditions for escape were met while attending a film festival in Vienna. When their guards were distracted, the couple snuck out of their hotel room and into a taxi. It took them to the American embassy and lasting freedom. Did you enjoy that? Let us know in the comments section. And please, like and subscribe if you want more.